Hello friends, welcome to Knowledge House. Right now we will be doing the analysis of the Hindu newspaper dated 19th of July. So let's move on to the first article that is titled it is regarding the Sabrimala temple entry issue. So I think it is better to have a background information before going deep into the article. So let's start. So as you all know, Sabrimala is a temple that is dedicated to Lord Ayyappan. It is located in the Periyar Tiger Reserve and it is one of the most important pilgrimage site for Hindus, and as per the records it is the world's second largest seasonal pilgrimage. It is second only to Mecca. So now let's come to what exactly is the controversy behind it. So a bench of judges comprising of Justice K. Paripurnan and Justice K. Balanarayana Marar of Kerala High Court in 1991 gave out a judgment ruling against the Travancore Devaswam Board, under which it banned the entry of women in the age group of 10 to 50, claiming that such a practice of not allowing women of that age group was very much prevalent in the past, and it was according to the traditional practices. The Kerala High Court directed the government of Kerala to use all measures required to implement the ruling of Kerala High Court. So this is where the root of the controversy lies. So now let's look into the arguments that are in favor of the ban. So the religious bodies defending the ban have put forth Article 26 of the Constitution of India, which gives power to every religious denomination to manage their religious affairs as a fundamental right. So as per their argument, interference by the state in the matters pertaining to the temple will violate their rights and also assert faith of the people that cannot be subjected to crude logic. So many supporters also draw an analogy between the societies which allow only men. Many supporters also draw an analogy between societies which allow only men and restaurants which serve only certain kind of food, and claim that such bodies were formed for a specific purpose and members, hence it cannot be claimed that they are being unfair to women by not letting them in. And now let's look at arguments that are against the ban. Critics and women rights activists are fighting against this, as they believe that the practice of not allowing women of 10 to 50 age group in the temple is a discriminatory and is actually infringing the rights of women to profess and practice of religion of their choice. So the controversy gained momentum in 2006 when a famous female actor of Kerala claimed to have entered the sanctum room and touched the feet of Lord's idol. Since then, with the onset of activism, the fight against this ban has gathered a lot of momentum. So now let's look at what the article says. The particular article that is in today's newspaper says. So the Supreme Court said that tagging a woman's right to enter the famous Sabrimala temple with her menstrual cycle is unreasonable, and the exclusion of women aged between 10 to 50 from entering a temple because they are considered impure amounts to the practice of untouchability, which is a social evil that is abolished by law. The Chief Justice also noted that Sabrimala temple drew funds from the consolidated fund. Hence, people coming from all over the world and are thus qualified to be called as a public place of worship. So I think it is important to note this point. Chief Justice noted that Sabrimala temple drew fund from the consolidated fund and had people coming from all over the world, and thus it is qualified to be called as a public place of worship. And the Kerala government pointed out to the bench that the state supported the entry of women into the Sabrimala temple and this the bench criticized Kerala government for changing the stand on the issue multiple times. It changes when the government changes every 5 years. The stand on Kerala government has also changed every 5 years because of the change in governments. So Mrs. Indira Jaising, who is appearing against the Kerala government, who supports the women entry, who supports the entry of women in Sabrimala temple, submitted that there is nothing in health, morality or public order that prevents a woman from entering and offering worship in a temple that is open for public. The prohibition in Sabrimala is discrimination not just on gender but sex. and menstruating when women are viewed as polluted, it is something that is really disappointing. And Mrs. Jasing also submitted that the rule 3B of the Kerala Hindu places of public worship authorization of entry rules 1965 allows a religious domination to ban entry of women between the ages of 10 to 50, and she said this particular law was in violation of right to equality and gender justice. So that's all about these two articles that that had appeared in multiple pages of the Hindu newspaper. So let's move on to the next issue. It is regarding the Right to Education Act. So the Lok Sabha clears the detention policy. So that's what the article says. So a bill to amend the Right to Education Act to abolish the no detention policy in schools was passed in Lok Sabha on Wednesday. So it would be at the discretion of the states to whether to continue with the detention or not. That's what the Union Minister for Human Resource has said. So under the current provisions of the RTE, no student can be detained till class 8 and all students are promoted to the next grade. So it raises serious questions about the quality and the attitude of the students while coming to the school, right? So and the students who were studying in the private schools had to come back to the government schools, and that's the intention of the government. So that's all about this article. Let's move on to the next thing, that is regarding the World Trade Organization. So the World Trade Organization will hear India's plea from today onwards. So the government has once again expressed this concern at the imposition of import duties by the US on aluminium and steel, and its appeal in the World Trade Organization Appellate Dispute Settlement Committee will be heard. So the appeal in the WTO Appellate Dispute Settlement Committee will be heard on 19th and 20th of this month, that is today and tomorrow. And China and Japan and several other countries have also done the same. We also did it. That's what the government says. So the US President Trump signed into effect import tariff of 25% on steel and 10% on aluminium in March this year. It sparked off a trade war involving the US, European Union, China and India. India has also increased the import tariff on 29 items that are originating from the US. And this will come into force from August 4th. So that's all about this article. Let's move on to the next one. That is it is regarding the sedition law. So I think it is better to have background information regarding this. So it is the section 124 of the Indian Penal Code that defines, that is 124A of the Indian Penal Code, that defines the offence of sedition. So the section says that whoever by words, either spoken or written, or by signs or by visible representation, or otherwise brings or attempts to bring into hatred or contempt or excites or attempt to excite disaffection towards the government established by the law. So this is what the sedition statement that is a core of the whole issue. And it was based on the sedition law that various arrests happened during the British era against our the main icons of our freedom movement. So the whole issue is around the Article 124A of the IPC and Article 19(1) of the Constitution. There is a debate between these two. In Ram Nandan versus State 1958, the Allahabad High Court held that Section 124A to be unconstitutional, citing that the section restricts freedom of speech, that is Article 19, in regard to whether the interest of the public order or the security of the state is involved and is capable of striking at the very root of the Constitution, which offers free speech. So and in Maneka Gandhi case, the Supreme Court held that freedom of speech and expression, it is not confined to geographical limitations, and it carries with it the right of a citizen to gather information and to exchange thought with other, not only in India but also abroad too. So, thus, the criticism against the government policies and decisions within a reasonable limit. So the limit is not clearly defined. That's the exact problem. So the criticism against the government's policies and its decision within a reasonable limit that does not incite people to rebel is consistent with the freedom of speech and expression. So in the Kedarnath Singh case also, the Supreme Court has warned against the arbitrary use of sedition law because such arbitrary use would violate the freedom of speech and expression guaranteed by the Constitution. Now let's look at what the article says about uh, the recent development regarding the sedition law. So the government told the Rajya Sabha that on Wednesday that the Law Commission was considering the scope and ambit of the law on sedition and will suggest amendments. So when a law prescribes, the Home Ministry has written to the Law and Justice Ministry to request the Law Commission of India to study the usage of the provisions of Section 124A of the IPC and suggest amendments. So that's all about this article. Let's move on to the next one. It is regarding the Representation of the People Act, that is RBI Act of 1951. And the government on Wednesday objected to the plea to stop candidates from contesting from two different constituencies, saying that such a limitation infringes upon the person's right to contest the polls and curtails the polity choice of the candidate. So the government supported the section 33(7) of the RPA, which restricts the candidates. That is, government supported the section section 33(7) of the RPA 1951, which restricts candidates to contesting from two constituencies. Before the amendment, candidates could contest from any number of constituencies. So the poll body, that is Election Commission of India, informed the Supreme Court that it has proposed the amendment of section 33(7) way back in July 2004 to a standing committee in Rajya Sabha. And the poll body also suggested that a candidate should deposit an amount of rupees 5 lakh for contesting in two constituencies in an assembly election, or rupees 10 lakh for a general election. This would be used to conduct a by-election in the eventuality that he or she is victorious in both constituencies and has to relinquish one. So that's all about this article. Let's move on to the next one. It is the bill on death penalty for child rape to be tabled. So as you all know, you might be aware that it was recently an ordinance was passed regarding this. So a bill on awarding the death penalty for those convicted of rape of girls below the age of 12 will be introduced in the monsoon session of the parliament. That's what the cabinet said on Wednesday. So the Criminal Law Amendment Bill 2008, once approved by the parliament, will replace the Criminal Law Amendment Ordinance that was promulgated on April 21, following the outcry over the rape and murder of a minor girl in Kathua and the rape of a woman in Unnao. So the minimum punishment in the case of rape of a woman has been increased from rigorous imprisonment of 7 years to 10. Under the bill, in the case of rape of a girl aged under 16 and above 12, the minimum punishment has been increased from 10 to 20 years. And the punishment for a gang rape of a girl below 16 and above 12 will be imprisonment for the rest of life of the convict. And another important development regarding the same kind of law is that the POCSO amendment for enhanced punishment for sexual assault on young boys has also been approved by the Law Ministry. So this particular provision will be added on to this. It is expected that this particular provision also will be added on to this. So that's all about this article. Now let's move on to next article, that is titled Cane Prices Get Bittersweet Response. So the centre has raised the fair and remunerative price, that is FRP, fair and remunerative price for sugarcane for the next season to be at rupees 275 a quintal at a recovery rate of 10%. Here the recovery rate represents the amount of sugar that can be extracted from the cane. So thus, if 10 kg of sugar is produced from 100 kg of cane, then it has a recovery rate of 10%. So this is the as I said before, the centre has raised the fair FRP, that is fair and remunerative price for sugarcane from the next season to rupees 275 a quintal. So this is the minimum price that the mills must pay the farmers from October onwards. So it represents an effective increase of over rupees 6.5 a quintal from the current prices. So currently the FRP is set at 255 a quintal at a recovery rate of 9.5%. With the farmers increasingly switching to higher sugar yielding varieties, the new FRP will be now linked to a 10% recovery rate. So what the farmers organization and the mills organization have said is that this is a shameful and this is an unaffordable FRP. So it was pointed out that the northern states set their own much higher minimum prices for the cane. In Uttar Pradesh this year, the price was set at rupees 375 per quintal, and unaffordable. That's what the sugar mill the sugar mill association says. It is unaffordable unless the concrete and focused steps are taken to help and improve the ex-mill sugar prices to at least rupees 35 a kilogram. So that's all about this article. Let's move on to the next one. It is an international relations related news. It is Mattis and Pompeo to travel to India in September. That is in September for the 2+2 strategic dialogue. So this was a meeting that was scheduled earlier but was postponed because US was busy engaging with the North Korea. And right now, as per this article, negotiations are underway on the Communications Compatibility and Security Agreement, that is COMCASA. The two US delegations are in India this week, one on Iran's actions and the other one on US-India Defense Technology and Trade Initiative. So India has reservations about the standard text of COMCASA. I am repeating the full form once again. Communications Compatibility and Security Agreement. So India has reservations about the standard text of COMCASA agreement that the US entered into with its allies. While the US would prefer the standard agreement, it is open to an India-specific agreement as well. So the both sides have exchanged drafts of the agreement, and the negotiators are hopeful for its conclusion in the forthcoming dialogue. And the DTTI, that is Defense Technology and Trade Initiative, emphasized the importance of private sector to play in the strategic dialogue. So that's all about this article. Anyway, let's keep in mind that US has asked India to reduce the oil imports from Iran, but we are not ready to concede to that. So that's what the present status of India-US relations is not that prospective. Anyway, let's hope for the best. Let's move on to the next article. It is titled Theresa May narrowly wins the key Brexit vote. So the Conservative government defeated an amendment introduced by its own backbench MP to a future trade policy bill that would have kept Britain in a customs union within the European Union if it fails to agree to a fair. I'll repeat the title, repeat the whole issue once again. The Conservative government has defeated an amendment introduced by its own MP to a future trade policy bill that would have kept Britain in a customs union with the European Union if it fails to agree to a free trade deal. That is, if the amendment was passed, it would have thrown Mrs. May's government's Brexit strategy into a disarray and would have increased pressure on the already beleaguered leader. So Brexit, it has now, as you all are aware that the Brexit was won, that is the Brexit campaign has won on a very narrow margin, and there are serious allegations were right now raised against the campaigners for conceding, that is not disclosing the whole information regarding the campaign. And also recently some court in the United Kingdom ruled against the campaigners for increasing the expenditure limit. So right now the ministers argued that the amendment would have put massive restrictions on its ability to forge an independent trade policy after the Britain leaves the European Union next March. So if the Britain was not in a position to cut a fair trade deal with the European Union, that is, if the Britain was not in a position to, or by any reason couldn't cut a free trade deal with the European Union, it would have placed Britain in a customs union that is not favorable for it. Anyway, right now the government has overturned that particular amendment attempt. So let's move on to the next article. It is titled Cabinet Relaxes NELP, that is pre-NELP pact rules. So the key decisions under the framework includes increasing the exploration period for that is increasing the exploration period granted for blocks in the northeast and easing the share of royalties within the developers of the blocks. I think it is better to have a background information before going more into this particular issue. So NELP stands for New Exploration and Licensing Policy. It is adopted by the Government of India since 1997. various versions have come about. So the recent one was in March 2016. The HELP was replaced by NELP, that is hydrocarbon. In March 2016, hydrocarbon exploration and licensing policy replaced the extent policy of NELP, and till the adoption, I think it is better to repeat the whole issue once again. So NELP is a policy that is adopted by the Government of India in 1997, indicating a new contractual and fiscal model for award of hydrocarbon acreages towards exploration and production. So in March 2016, HELP, that is hydrocarbon exploration and licensing policy, replaced the policy regime for exploration and production of oil and gas. So NELP, which has been existent for the last 18 years, was replaced with HELP. So the features of the latest NELP includes 100% foreign direct investment, which is allowed under NELP, and no mandatory state participation through ONGC. The blocks can be awarded through open international competition bidding, and various other issues. I think it is better to have a Google search rather than waiting for me to explain the whole thing. Anyway, let's look at what the current article says. Based on the recommendations in the Hydrocarbon Vision 2030 for Northeast, the government has extended the timeline for exploration and appraisal period in the operational blocks of the Northeast area. So this particular tweak, that particular relaxation, is awarded only for the fields that are present in Northeast area. So the exploration period has also been increased by 2 years, which is currently 8 years. That is increased again by 2 years, and an appraisal period by 1 year. So the exploration period has been increased by 2 years, which is currently 8 years, and appraisal period has also been increased by 1 year. The center has also allowed marketing, including pricing freedom for natural gas, to be produced from discoveries which are yet to commence production as of July 2018. So the government has created an enabling framework for sharing of the statutory levies, including royalty cess, in proportion to the participating interest of the contractor in pre-NELP exploration blocks. So anyway, the move is very promising, and it is likely to introduce more investment to the particular sector. And let's look at how things will develop. So right now, let's move on to the next article. It is titled 3 in 5 HIV carriers now have access to drugs. That is what the UN says. So there are around 36.9 million people living with the immune system attacking virus in 2017, of whom 15.5 million, that is 15.2 million out of 36 million, were not getting drugs when they need. And this particular figure is the lowest since the epidemic exploded. Alright, so the article also emphasizes on the success of various initiatives in curbing the menace, and the disappointing factor is that under Donald Trump, the US administration, which is a major funder of the AIDS program, has threatened to cut the spending. So despite this, the success of the various initiatives, US has threatened to cut the spending. So the number of people on antiretroviral therapy, that is ART, grew from 19 million in 2016 to 21 million up here. And there has been non-reduction in AIDS-related mortality in Eastern Europe and Central Asia since 2010. And deaths from AIDS-related illness increases by 11% in West Asia and North Africa. And these figures are really disappointing. And recently, in a TED Talk, I came across a particular thing, that is the genetic variation within the HIV virus that appears across various continents is highly different. And the speaker says that between the human evolution, that is various stages of human evolution, from the first stage to the last stage, human genes have undergone an evolution of around, that is from the monkey stage to the modern man stage. The human gene has undergone an evolution of around, it has undergone a genetic change of only that ranges around 3 to 5%. But so while the gene evolved 3 to 5%, there has been a tremendous difference. From a basic monkey stage to the modern man stage, there has been a tremendous difference. But the genetic difference is 3 to 5%. But the genetic difference between the HIV viruses that are recovered from the West Asia part and from the East Asia part, it is the genetic difference between both these variations are around 30%. So there is a lot of things that to be taken care of. I think there should be more research on this. And while the world is undergoing such a such an unprecedented menace, the US government stand on cutting the donation for this particular program is really disappointing. So that's all about today's newspaper. Let's move. We have finished analyzing today's newspaper, and thank you very much for watching this video. For all kinds of PDFs, you can log on to our blog, that is www.knowledgehouse.com, and you can follow us on Telegram. And if you like this video, click the like button and share it with your friends. And if you feel that you must not miss any more updates from us, you can subscribe our channel. And thank you very much for watching this video, and I welcome your suggestions and criticisms, of course. So thank you very much for watching this video. Have a nice day.